last update, we talked about future course modules. Maybe you want to touch on these for just a minute. Every time we talk as a group, it just seemed to keep coming up. So I just wanted to talk about this slide for just a minute. I got a couple of duplicates in here, which I'll fix in just a second. Go ahead.
Okay, well, the things that predictive damage and proactive planning touch are listed here on this slide. So getting access to pertinent, trusted, and detailed weather forecast data. We can spend a couple of hours talking on where does this data rely? How do you know that it's trusted? How do you integrate it into your spatial products like GIS? How do you leverage the folks in your organization to provide you that historical impact data, the duration, the damages, the resources used in restoration? How do you get that data? We can talk about who you should be looking for in your organization. That data exists. It guarantees your electric utility. You're reporting to the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission on your reliability standards. That data is there. So how do you go back and get that data? How do you bracket it into the events? We can talk about that. And being able to segregate that data into geographic areas of responsibility allows you to make your damage predictions more granular. It allows you to easily, more readily predict or have an idea of what's going to be impacted, how many people you're going to need, what type of material, your costs. But it just lets you go into it with your eyes wide open. Creating amenable dashboards, gosh, I can tell you that you can send me an email. If that email is more than, we talked about this a little bit, that email is more than a couple paragraphs, chances are I'm not going to read it all at one sitting because things are moving so fast and I don't have the time. If I can put a dashboard out there that I can just look at and glance at, and things that are really important to me are conditionally formatted to draw my attention to it. So if I'm on a bluebird day like today and there's nothing out of lights, I'm looking at the dashboard and nothing's going on. But if I get 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people out of lights, that dashboard plings and turns red and flashes. That's meaningful to me. I mean, hey, I got to do something. We can talk about how do you do those things and how do you bring that awareness in there. Organizing your resources, back office support is so important. I mean, I know our communications folks are always talking about how important our, we used to call it 2 men in a bucket truck. We used to have a commercial going out there, your lights go out and you see the Dominion Energy bucket roll out. Here these two guys come out and, it's raining, it's pouring, they're out in the elements, and 30 minutes later, the lights come on, and it's all because of those 2 men in a bucket truck. Right. But for every bucket truck that's out there, there's a slew of support people that are making those people successful. Those 2 men in the bucket truck wouldn't know where to go without the people in the operating center, without the people in the phone center, without the people in the dispatch center, right? Without the mechanics that keep their trucks running, without the fuel people to make sure the fuel's there, without the material people that stock those trucks. So those 2 men in a bucket truck are really 15 people in the background that are making them successful. So understanding how you can leverage that. And that leads to the next bullet is better organizing and managing your logistics, right? Once you start putting visibility to this, where the staging centers need to be. How do you get them as close to the damage as possible without putting people in harm's way? Materials that you're going to need. Every event's going to be different, right? The type of material that you're going to need to respond to a wind event is going to be a lot different than the type of material you're going to need for a flooding event. And then I can't tell you, communications, internal and external, streamlining that process and making sure you get that key information out to the people that need to have it. Make sure that they get the most up-to-date information, making sure that it's consistent is really, really important. We can have modules that and future sessions that talk about, who do you have to have sitting on that table? What questions should they be asking? What information, what words do you use and what words don't you use? They're really important. Right. We can go into a lot of detail on the governance process. I mean, that's near and dear to my heart because I've seen really well-meaning people change a process that had no reason to change a process. They really put a spike in the tire, right? So having that governance structure, helps prevent those well-meaning people into doing something that they really don't want to do. Measuring. I mean, we've heard this before. If you want to change something, you got to be able to measure it. So how do you track safety? How do you track costs? How do you compare, how you did the last time, what things go into it to influence it? Because not not